Hey, Shalom, Shalom. It's your brother Ratazar Allah from GMS London Camp. First and foremost, we give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Blessings to the hopeful and sincere elect, Bachaya Kodash. That's the holy elect, Baha Ratazar, in and around the four winds of the earth. Greetings. This is a statement for the ex-UK minister demands reparations for Britain's ex-colonies in regards to basically their so-called investment, part of the colonization in the transatlantic slave trade. These devils, or this Elamite so-called Indian lady that used to be part of the MPs, members of Parliament, Suella Braverman, said ex-colonies should repay Britain for empire's investment. So this devil, she's a heathen anyway, is complaining that they've paid off too much money, basically back for the so-called reparations of the ex-slave owners that basically got reprimanded, so to speak, if that's even the term, or repaid, should I say, the slave owners that got repaid after the abolishing of slavery, so to speak. My thing is, none of these heathens, the person that, this woman that's crying out for repayment of their investment in so-called transatlantic slave trade, not so-called, but the transatlantic slave trade against the tribes, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and mainly the Southern Kingdom, because that's where these devils really got their investment from when they traveled over there to the west coast of Africa and gathered Jake from the Southern Kingdom of the House of Judah, cargoed them over to the New World, modern day Egypt, prophesied in that Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, as that new land, New Egypt, land of slavery for the 12 tribes of Israel. We're currently still in captivity to this day, like I told you in Baruch, the second chapter. We're yet this day in our captivity. And in Nahum, the third chapter, or the first chapter, it tells you that the prey departeth not. Woe to the bloody cities, all full of lies and robbery, and the prey departeth not. That's the modern. That's America, aka Babylon the Great. So we are still in these devils' hands. We're still under these colonists or ex-colonists, hands of slavery, man. Just because we're not in yokes of iron and soul to soul speak doesn't mean we're not modern day slaves in this modern day society. We all have social security numbers, national insurance numbers, and so on and so forth. And now it's leading to where these devils want to stick a digital all on people's hands and their foreheads. So that's even more proof that we're still in slavery to this day. Because they want to stick digital chips in people, a digital all, if you will. That's a digital yoke of iron basically around your head or your hands, man. Modern day slavery. So that just proves that we're still under surveillance of these modern day so-called Europeans, which are really Edomites, and these other nations, man, worldwide. We are yet this day in our captivity, and this is why we are crying unto Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the Heavenly Father's name in the ancient Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew. His name is Yahweh, and his only begotten Son, his name, the Savior of the nation of Israel, his name is Yahweh Shai, and that's why we're crying to the Lord for salvation, man, to come and deliver us from our enemies, in which He will, He's coming to deliver the elect. So these devils, man, even though this witch is crying for reparations for the ex-colonies and all that, her and the guys that the ex-slave owners that got the money, basically reparations from the so-called UK, they both need to go into captivity, man, and they are going into captivity. All nations outside of the nations of Israel that benefited from this transatlantic slave trade, you're all going into captivity. And that's all I wanted to say in a nutshell. It don't matter who's crying about reparations for who. At the end of the day, these heathens benefited off the free labor of the slaves that they captured and cargoed around the four winds of the earth like commodities, man. We was modern day commodities back then. We was the cash cow, so to speak. That's in the book of Jeremiah. These devils, it says they made themselves fat as the heifer. We was the cash cow, transatlantic slave trade was the cash cow for Babylon the Great and the great British colonies, you know, the British Empire, to basically grow into what it became, the empire it was today, what it is today, you know. That's exactly what happened. Let me just put this, not do not disturb, these stupid notifications popping up. It's lucky. So it says former British Home Secretary Salula Braverman has called for British former colonies to pay reparations to London for the investment, effort and contributions she claims the empire made in building them. Yeah, but what about the slaves, man? You're crying about what you did, or who built the damn empire? It was the slaves. So what about reparations for the slaves, man? Fuck the establishment. Fuck the government, man. The government was the ones behind the whole fucking inhumane act of slavery in the first place. She just tried to say it was abhorrent. Like, say, yeah, it was wicked, it was off, but yeah, and still, we still want our reparations. But this is a statement here: the British Empire did so much for the world, and that's what these heathens always say, man. You know, they did so much for the world, but you ain't paying reparations to the slaves that built it. The scripture saying, Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, they shall make no account of thy labors, man. So this is why, you know, this is why we need real reparations, which is what? Putting you devils, you heathens into slavery. You devils are going into slavery just like we went into slavery, man. Starting with the so-called white man, the Arabs, Ishmael, Elam, the so-called modern-day Indians, and everyone else on down, man, outside of the nation of Israel, like the prophesied in Psalms 83. You're all going into captivity, man. We're all going into captivity. All you heathen nations, especially you Edomites, are going to taste the edge of the sword and have the yokes of iron around your necks and your hands and your feet. And you're going to be carted off into slavery and get a taste of your own fucking medicine, man. How about that for reparations? Suwila, Baverman, you know? Whether she's an Edomite or Ishmaelite, don't matter. She's a heathen. And she's going into captivity, man. Along with her predecessors, man. Because they all benefited from slavery. The only people that didn't benefit from slavery was the actual slaves themselves, man. The fuck is she talking about, man? Says, of course, slavery was abhorrent, you see. So she's trying to say, yeah, it was a wicked act. But to expect the British people of the 21st century, basically so-called white people, to pay for the actions that took place in the 18th century, says, has no basis in law. No, it does have a basis in law. It's called reparations. It's called recompense. In the scriptures, the Lord said it's a righteous thing to recompense tribulation unto them that have troubled you. 2 Thessalonians 1:7, man. Or 1:6. So what the hell is she talking about? Then it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, the Lord requireth that which is past. So you can't get away with your old crimes, man. You have to pay the piper, man. You can't just get away with murder, man. It says, them that sow wickedness shall reap the same in the book of Job 4:8. Galatians 4:26 says the same thing, man. You reap what you sow. So you devils have reaped all this wickedness in the earth, and you heathens definitely had a part in that. You other nations, you Edomites, you Ishmaelites definitely had a part of that, because you got Israelite slaves all in those different lands, all around the four winds of the earth, but definitely over there in Arab land, you got Israelites in Arab land, speaking Arabic today, you know. Then over there in India as well, East India and all that, you definitely got slaves, Israelite foreigners that are over there, you know, the cities and the Daleks and all that, you know. So throughout the ages, you heathens have benefited off of capturing Jakes and putting them in slavery. I think it was the Arabs that was castrating Jakes as well. They was known for castrating Jakes, man, cutting off their penises, man, because they didn't want them to mate with their women. So you Arabs had a heavy hand in the transatlantic slave trade, man. You and the so-called white man were buddy together, hand in hand, man, when it came to occupying and basically taking Jake into slavery, man. You know, you had a heavy hand in that with them small hat rats, top hats, man, of today, which were 70% of the slave owners that they're crying about they want reparations from, and that got all the reparations after the abolishment of slavery. It was the slave owners that got the reparations, not the slaves. The slaves didn't get shit. The slaves got basically welfare systems, man. They got a welfare system. That's what the slaves got, and that was only during the going into the mid 20th century. You know, we started getting reparations. That's not reparations. Started getting welfare and all of that from the governments and all that. But before that, you devils benefited off the slave trade tremendously, man. Your whole empire was built off it, man. You know, as I quoted Jeremiah, was it the 50th chapter or 51st? It says that um let me just get it real quick because I don't want to butcher it. But you devils are gonna pay, man. There's no way in hell you devils are not gonna pay. All you heathens are going into slavery, man. You can't try and escape that. Try and make excuses. It's Jeremiah 51, right? It should be Jeremiah 50. Yeah, 50 and 11. It says, because you have were glad, because you rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage. Who's the destroyers of the Lord's heritage? You so-called white people, man. And you Arabs included, you Edomites, all you nations, man, outside of the nation of Israel that had a hand in occupying us. The Roman occupation, basically the modern day American occupation of the Israelites, is a modern day Egypt, which is America, man. And all you nations had a hand in that, and conquering us in our collapse, especially you Edomites. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, all you destroyers of mine heritage, because you were grown as fat as the heifer, and as grass as bellows as bulls. Yeah, well, the slave trade was the cash cow for the American Empire. Didn't they celebrate 250 years of the America's inception? You know, America's empire, 250 years in rulership, from its so-called independence from the British colonies that this woman's crying about, the 13 British colonies. They just celebrated 250 years, so they're still eating off the backs of the leeching off the backs of the slaves that built this wicked ass society, man. Built up this empire. They're still benefiting, man. And the British too, because the British built all them damn banks. So this woman Suella Braverman acting like the British didn't get no get back or no type of benefit from the slave trade. They got major benefits. They built off their whole banking industry off the slave trade, man. So what the fuck is she complaining about? They want reparations because you have to pay them small hats um, um, for the abolishment of slavery. All 70% of the money of reparations went to the small hats, which is the slave owners, instead of the actual slaves themselves. But it's all in vain. It's all in wickedness, man. It's all ill-gotten gain. So all you heathens have got to pay. None of you heathens are gonna get off scot-free, man. That's bullshit, man. It's just bullshit. Brothers know where that came from, man. You know that movie. But yeah, Slakia. Anyway, Isaiah 14 and 21 says, prepare slaughter for the children, for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. Yeah, so you other nations, you might be here now saying, oh, you don't want to pay for what your predecessors did in the 18th century, the 1700s, because you're in the 21st century now. So you don't want to pay for what your forefathers did. You're going to pay. All you heathens, especially so-called white people, and you other nations too, you heathens too, that had a hand in it, man. Just prepare slaughter for his children. Meaning what? Reincarnations in the Bible, man. You got to pay for what your forefathers did. You know, you got to pay for them crimes. No, none of those things have been answered for, and they're going to be answered in the kingdom to come. You know, which is the kingdom of heaven, Yahweh Shai's kingdom. You know, and it starts from now. With the curses that are going to be lifted off of us and put on our enemies starts from now, man. Deuteronomy 37. But even more so when the chariots come and the Lord totally destroys this place by a nuclear fire. That's when the beginning of the kingdom is going to start and real reparation is going to take place. Meaning what? You other nations are going into captivity under Yahweh Shai and the tabernacles of David, man. That's being revived right now, known as the elect. And there's nothing you devils can do to stop it, man. You know, because we're not even going to be in this mortal flesh no more. We're going to be superhuman. We're going to be made immortals, gods walking amongst men, all over again. So you other nations ain't got a fighting chance, man. It tells you that in the book of Leviticus. I think it was at 26 or 27. It says that no nation shall make thee afraid. You know. It says prepare slaughter for the children, for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. So this is the last heathen nation, which is under the Edomites, the so-called white people, to rule on the earth. And after that, no other heathen nation's ever going to rule on the earth again. The Lord said this kingdom shall be not left to any other people in the book of Daniel, man. Meaning what? It's going to be an everlasting kingdom on rulership in righteousness under the children of Israel, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which make up the 12 tribes, starting with the elect. And these devils are going through. It says, "For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai of hosts, and cut off Babylon from the name, and cut off from Babylon the name, Salakia, and the remnant, and says, and son and nephew, saith the Lord." So these heathens are going to be destroyed, and they're never going to come back into rulership. None of their family members, none of the ones that come after them, they're all going into captivity. Every last one of them, man. And then when they're born, they're going to be born into slavery. Just like how we was born into slavery in this society with a birth certificate and all that BS, the straw man and all of that, you know, debt slaves basically. They're going to be born into captivity as well, yokes of iron and chains around their damn necks and feet. Straight up, man. As soon as they come out of the womb, they're going to be put in chains, man. Fuck you think this is, man? They're going into slavery. Because I will also make it a possession for the bittern and the pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. So America's going to be turned into a desert. Also, he's going to sweep it with the besom of destruction. So it's not going to be, America's going to be unrecognizable and uninhabitable for human consumption, man. The Lord going to turn that place into the forbidden zone, as brothers always say. They go in Planet of the Apes. That's going to be a real big desert, compared to a sand dune over there in the Middle East. So, you devils are fruit. In no way in hell you heathens are gonna, sail off into the sunset with your new world order, man. You all going into captivity. It don't matter who you're sticking up for, what side you're on. It don't matter, man. If you put our people into captivity, you're going into captivity. That's how it goes, man. That's what you call righteous recompense right there. That's called poetic justice, man. This is Job 20, and just start from 12. It says, "Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth, yet his meat in his bowels is turned, and his gall of asp within him. It says, he hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. The Most High shall cast them out of his belly." Yeah, so all the riches that these devils have stolen, the British Empire that they built their wicked ass society off, for the free labor and all the jewels and everything that these devils have stolen, the blood diamonds, everything the Queen of Lizzie and all these devils have stolen, King Charles and that, because they even mentioned in that article about the Jamaicans saying they need reparations from King Charles. But they don't worry, man, because these devils are going into slavery. That's their reparation. That's going to be our reparations. We don't want their jewels, man. All that stolen stolen blood diamonds and all that. We don't need all that, man. We're gonna have better, real gems and everything else in the kingdom. But these devils, everything that they swallowed, all the bullions of gold and all that stuff, they're stuck in their vaults, and stolen items that they've accumulated over the centuries of time. Since the mid 1700s, should I say, since the transatlantic slave trade, they're gonna vomit it up. And they're going to bring it to the kingdom of heaven, man. They're going to bring it into the Lord's kingdom, into the gates of Jerusalem, man. And they're going to build up our empire with it, man. They're going to build up the Lord's kingdom with it. All that gold that they've stolen, they're going to use that to build up the Lord's, the streets that are going to be paved with gold in the kingdom of heaven, in Jerusalem. They're going to build up the castles and the palaces and everything, all these precious stones and gems that these devils have stolen. They're going to build our kingdom up with it, which is Yahweh Shai's kingdom, man. And we're going to boast and brag in that too. We ain't going to be polite about it. We're going to take these devils, like it says in Daniel 7 and 18, we're going to take the kingdom from these devils, man. And we're going to enjoy it too, It says, he hath swallowed down riches and shall vomit them up again. It says, God, the Most High shall cast them out of his belly. Yeah, all them damn treasury ships that sunken at the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle, at the bottom of the ocean somewhere, all that gold and all them precious stones and jewels that these devils have stolen throughout the ages, they're going to vomit all that up, man. I'm just saying as an example for all the vaults of gold and treasures that these devils have stolen throughout the ages through these different empires. All that's coming into the kingdom of heaven, man. These devils are fruit. So forget what Suella is saying about reparations for London. You British are going into slavery, as well as you Europeans, and especially you Americans. American Edomites are going into slavery too. There's this prophecy, man, Isaiah 60 and 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls. Yeah. So you heathens are going to build up the walls of the kingdom, man. You're going to build up the Lord's kingdom, which is soon to come, man. Coming to a town near you very soon, should I say. Where the kingdom of heaven's coming to the earth real soon, by way of the chariots of heaven, man. Chariots of Israel, you know. Once the Lord beams up the elect in them ships, you know, at 144,000, and when we set ourselves up in them new bodies and all of that, we're going to come down upon the earth, like it tells in Revelation 21. I saw the kingdom of heaven coming down from heaven. I saw the kingdom of heaven coming down. It's like I can keep butcher. I'm trying to butcher the scriptures, but the Lord said that the kingdom of heaven is going to come out of the skies. Basically, we're going to take over the whole globe. You know, roughly paraphrasing. So yeah, let me go back to verse 10, just for the sake of time. It says, "And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in thy favor I have I had mercy upon thee." So the Lord's going to have mercy upon the children of Israel, starting with the elect, ones that repented and turned back to the Lord before the destruction came, man. You know, which only the elect are going to do that anyway, because they're the chosen of the nation of Israel, the chosen within the chosen. You know, it says, "Therefore thy gates shall be open continually." It says, "They shall not be shut day nor night." Why are they not going to be shut? Because these other nations are going to be bringing in your resources, man, and yourselves too. We're going to be carting you, just like we was commodities back then, and you had us, like you had the gold and all these different resources, you know, spices and so on and so forth, you know, material, so-called wealth and all that you use to build up your society. You're going to be, and we was commodities too, stocks and bonds. You're going to be doing the same thing in our kingdom, man. You're going to be taking your resources, and you as well, you, your women and your children, man, as collateral damage, man, for what you did to us. You know, chattel slavery. You know, this is real reparations. "He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity." It says, "Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, and they shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring in the forces unto thee, the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought." Yes, you other nations are going into slavery, and we're going to take your resources and you know, and there's nothing you can do to stop it, man. You know, it says, "For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted, and after 1,000 years, you devils are going to definitely be wasted." Pursuant to Obadiah 1:18, you're going to disappear. You're going to fade away like a bad dream. There's not going to be no more Edomites on the face of the earth. You're going to be exterminated, man. You know, since you've been fantasizing about exterminating the nation of Israel, the 12 tribes, all these years, the Lord's going to have it where your dream's going to come true, where you're exterminated, man. They're going to be the first nation to be exterminated off the face of the earth after you serve your penalty of 1,000 years of slavery. It's going to start with your heads, your wicked elite, the ones that benefited off the whole transatlantic slave trade in the first place, the banking elite, you know, the Rothschilds, all of these devils, because they've been ruling since the 1700s, and that's what she compared the reparations that they owe, basically, from the investment that they said that they made. Most of that investment goes to who? The bankers, man. The bankers invested heavily in the transatlantic slave trade. That's why they're the richest of all out of all the heathen nations, man. The Rothschild family, Oppenheimers and all that, all over worth like 500 trillion and then some, man, and more. And it's a never-ending number because, you know, they've accumulated wealth throughout the ages. So the money just keeps, piling up. There is no actual like sum to the amount of money or wealth that they've actually gained, because it keeps accumulating, man. Even to this day, they own all the world markets and so on and so forth. They own most of the world's wealth. You know, over 40% of the world's wealth belongs unto them. You know, so these devils, they got wealth that you can't even count. A natural man can't really count, man. You need a few machines, more than a few machines, to count the amount of money that these devils have generated throughout the ages. And it's just not just in tangible wealth. It's not just what's it called? What's the term again? can't remember the term right now. Escaping me. Just trying to. But it's basically it's physical and monetary, all of that good stuff, man. You know, I'm forgetting the term right now. Salakia. If it comes back to me, Lord's will it will. But let me just go back to the scriptures anyway, man. But these devils accumulated so much wealth. That's why the scripture says in James 5, these devils are heap treasures for the last days, man. You know. So the Psalms 149 and 5 says, "For the Lord taketh pleasure in his people." Who's the Lord's people? The children of Israel. Starting with the elect, he will beautify the meek with salvation. Yeah, because the real Israelites are in a down state. They're in a downtrodden state. They're contrite, broken-hearted. They're mortified, man. We're in slavery. We're in captivity. We're the poor. The Lord said the meek shall inherit the earth, man. Not the rich. Not the ones that have substance in this life. You know, that's these devils, man. They have substance and they leave their substance to their babes. They increase in wealth. So they're going into captivity and they're gonna be abased by Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and the meek of our people, starting with the elect, are gonna be exalted. It says, let the saints be joyful in glory, let them sing aloud upon their beds. And we're gonna be singing, praising Yahweh Hashem Yahushua when he comes to deliver us finally from these devil's clutches and puts our enemies underneath our foot, man. Underneath Yahushua's foot. Like he promised his son 2,000 years ago, man. He's gonna make his enemies his footstool. You know, it says, let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be crying and singing the prayers of joy and happiness, exalting the names and magnifying the names of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua from delivering us from our arch nemesis, man, the so-called white man, these Edomites, man. And the two-edged sword in their hand. So we're going to be celebrating your defeat, you damn devils, man. Just like we celebrated in ancient Egypt when the Lord delivered us from the Hamites. You know, we're going to celebrate again, man, you know. Just to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. Yeah, so we're gonna grab up your leaders, your world leaders, and your underground kings, known as the banking elite, the Rothschilds, all these different families, Oppenheimers, these decrepit devils, man. Wherever they're hiding, they're scattered at. We're gonna chain them up. You know, we're going to chain them up and put them on slave ships and ship them over all around the world and over there to the Middle East, man, and dump their asses in holes and then put their asses to work in the field somewhere, man, to build up the Lord's kingdom. You know, like apostles and elders always quote Ezekiel the 39th chapter 40, around the 40th verse, that we're going to seek out men of further employment, that the first job of their wicked elites, they're going to be burying them dead bodies, man, over there in the Middle East. They're going to be cleaning up the land. They're going to be the bin gatherers, man, you know. Sanitation crew, if you want to, if you will. You know, they're going to be cleaning up sanitation and all that. They're going to be cleaning up the land with their bare hands, man, and feet. Damn devils. So they execute the vengeance upon the heathen. So they were going to execute vengeance, man. Meaning it's a revenge. It's payback for what you devils did to us. The Lord has said he requires that which is past, so he hasn't forgotten what you did to us, man. They said they account about 12 million in the recorded data. It says about 12 million Israelites was carted off into the slave trade over there into the west, from the west to the New World. About 12 million Israelites. They say Africans, well, we're not Africans, man, we're Israelites. And it says millions that died on the ways to the voyages. They've lost so many. They lost so many slaves on the voyages there and back, so on and so forth, you know. So these devils got hell to pay, man. The amount of slaves that jumped that probably died over from diseases and, you know, all that stuff, man, and, you know, being cannibalized by the enemy, you know, the delectable Negro, that book, the delicacy of Jake that they was eating, cannibalizing. Jake was a delicacy, man. It was putting our people on plates and eating them like there was a piece of steak. Then it was turning them into clothing and all that, feeding our children into alligators, feeding our people onto sharks, throwing them overboard to claim insurance. There's hella things, crimes that you devils committed. You ain't gonna get away with none of that, man. Fuck your reparations, man. Fuck what the Suella Braverman bitch is talking about, man. You're all going into captivity. How about that? Every last one of you, man. And you're gonna pay. You're gonna pay with your life, man, with your soul. You know. So anyway, let me see if I think got one more precept there. The main one, of course. Yeah, so the last precept here, Psalms 149 and 9, to execute upon them the judgment written. So this is the judgment of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. This isn't our judgment. This is what the Lord wants. Because the Lord's a just power, man. The Lord said He doesn't do, a false balance is an abomination. So to turn the things right side up, to restore the balance, so to speak, you other nations got to go into captivity and suffer what we have to suffer, man. The Lord said even return unto them double. That's how you're going to restore the balance, man. That's how you're going to make things good, so to speak. You know? That's real reparations. Payback. Payback is a bitch. So yes, it's the honor. This honor have all His saints. Praise ye the Lord. To execute upon them the judgment written, man. So this is what's going to happen. And this is the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. So if you want to take up any arms or any quarrels, take out with the Heavenly Father and see how He answers your ass, man. Guarantee you ain't going to like it. So Revelation 13 and 9 and 10 says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. Meaning the spiritual ear, meaning your sixth sense, your pineal gland. Hear and understand. Hear me. Feel me. As my man Stars P would say, feel me. It says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. And who are the saints, man? The children of Israel. The holy ones of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, man. Separated, sanctified in the spirit, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Chosen within the chosen, started with the elect. These are the saints, man, that the Lord's going to raise up in these last days and set up as a government to enslave these other nations, man. Revelations 2 and 25, I might as well finish off on that. So many precepts I can pull out, but if I do that, I'll be here all night. But you know how we do. It's all in the spirit, and an edification for the elect, man, and ministry. So yeah, man, and to exalt the spirit, man, because we ain't always going to be in the bottom, trailing the bottom, so to speak, of the barrel, so to speak, all the time, man. The Lord's going to lift us up. He's going to exalt us now, man. He's going to liberate us very soon. We're in that time. Esau's system's crumbling. Esau's kingdom's on its way out, 250 years, and now the Lord's going to, destroy that within 1 hour. Like I told you in Revelation 18 and 10. No man knoweth the time but the Lord Himself, man, the Heavenly Father. So Revelations 2 and 25 says, but that which ye have already, hold fast till I come, which is what? This word, this gospel. And there's only one true gospel in Yahweh Shai, man, one doctrine. Yahweh Shai's doctrine, So if you're teaching anything outside of that, you're an antichrist, you're anti-Messiah, you're anti-Yahweh Shai, basically. And there's a lot of guys out here that are feigning the word of the Lord, acting like they're down for Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, but really they're enemies of the cross. They're not teaching the true doctrine of Yahweh Shai. They're butchering and perverting the gospel. So really they're anti-Yahweh Shai, they're anti-Messiah, man. They're enemies of the cross. And if they don't repent and come out of that wicked ass spirit concerning the prophecies, the Lord's going to treat them like a damn heathen. He's going to deal with them and judge them like a damn heathen, man. And destroy their asses, man. And the only ones they're going to have to blame is themselves. So in verse 26 it says, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. So the Lord says He's going to give us supreme power over our enemies, man. Every last one of them, man. From Esau, Edom, to the heathens over there in the different isles of the earth, to uninhabited places that we ain't even seen before. Any heathens that's over there, they're going to be put into captivity if they're not Israelites, man. They're going to be locked up and chained up and carted over there, cargoed over to the new world, so to speak, which is going to be the land of Israel, man. That's where the new world order is going to take place. The great reset, The Lord going to reset this place in righteousness, man. It says, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works to the end, the same will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, a golden scepter. Meaning, symbolizing what? Power, rulership. That horn, it says, and the vessels, as the vessels of potter, shall they be broken to shivers. So we're going to beat these nations down. We're going to subject them, man. We're going to turn them into our subjects, into our slaves. Even as I have received of my Father, which is Yahweh Shai's blessing. This is his kingdom that's coming to reign upon the earth. We're just going to be joint heirs of Abarot, so we be part of the hopeful elect, man. We get to share in, in the Lord's blessing, in his kingdom. And I will give him the morning star. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches, man. So the Lord's only expressively speaking to the churches of the nation of Israel, man. The 7 churches of Asia Minor, which were what? The churches where Israelites were scattered amongst, which was mainly over there in Asia, Asia Minor, Asia Major. The Asia Minor, that's like predominantly like Turkey and all of that, like Tarshish and all that, where Apostle Paul was born, came out of Tarshish. That was like modern day Turkey. So you got a lot of our people over there in the Turkish Isles, over there in Kittim and all that, Cyprus and all these different places, the Mediterranean. That's where predominantly our people came from, out, the Middle East, the Mediterranean seas and all that. So yeah, all them islands, that's where the Israelite foreigners were scattered, man. So we're going to be gathered once again in modern day captivity, which is Babylon the Great, aka America. And we're going to be transported back to the Holy Land. And then we're going to, transport these damn heathens in cargo slave ships like they did to us, man. That's real reparations, man. So fuck what this bitch is saying, man. Let me just see if that statement's there about the Jamaicans and all that. Is that what she said here? Yeah. Bel Rabio and Adi MP. So later this year, Jamaica, which is the tribe of Benjamin, says will take a case for reparations directly to King Charles, lodging a formal petition. It says it's getting harder and harder for British institutions to maintain their favoured tactic of simply ignoring calls for repair. Yeah, so these devils are going to pay with their life, man. Don't worry about the reparations from King Charles, man. King Charles is going into slavery. Him and the rest of them Jewish rats, man. Them German Jewish rats that got imposter syndrome, suffering from imposter syndrome, man, claiming on other people's heritage. They're going into slavery because they're a bunch of imposters too. So anyway, with that, I want to close out. Give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechachodash, and Shalom to the hopeful and sincere elect.